Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today, just before my run, I just wanted to be letting you know that today we are just going to go through what we would call a tempo run, a speed run. No, I know that there's a lot of you out there aiming for PBs, trying to PB on your runs, which is absolutely incredible. And I just want to help you understand, because I do a lot of videos about long, easy runs, which I do once a week, but also twice a week. What I do is I train fast and I push myself, but it's all very specific and all very relative to what you're personally trying to achieve. But just to help you understand, when it comes down to improving your running, what I want you to think about is like when you make a cake, the layer is the aerobic base, the zone 2, the easy runs, what everybody calls it, different terminology, and that builds this base of fitness. So it gives you the ability to run from 0 to 10k, 0 to 20k, 0 to 40k. Like not easily, but relatively okay, you know, not having to stop every 2 minutes out of breath. So that's what all of those easy runs I'm doing. That is to build this long, big base here so that I can, you know, go and run a half marathon and be like, I feel fine. Like that's the goal of that. So when you're doing that, even if you're working towards your first 5k, you want to build the ability to run it comfortably by training your aerobic fitness zone. So that would be zone 2 easy runs, and that's with your heart rate below 180 minus your age is your max heart rate you want in that one. Now, these runs here, when you see me running at race pace, this is what I would personally call like a tempo run. People, again, have different names for them, but essentially this is where I'm training out of zone 2, I'm training into zone 3, 4, and I'm actually starting to specifically work towards a pace. However, that has to be very specific to what you're wanting to achieve, and I think the biggest misconception for most people is if they just go out and they try and PB every single run, they'll just get better. That's just not how it works. So we have two different runs there. You know, we have one where I run at race pace and then one where I run faster than race pace, and that's pushing over what's called threshold. So that's where I'm actually pushing my heart rate over 174 beats per minute, and I'm only able to hold that for a very short period of time, and that's where that's going to allow me to push that capacity to get faster. So we have the layer of the cake at the bottom. So this is your endurance, this is your zone 2, this is your easy at the bottom, and then the next layer we're putting on the cake is speed. So essentially what we do is we build speed over endurance. So your endurance is already there, and then you're building speed in the upcome to it, and that's how essentially we end up at the place that we want to be. So let's get stuck into today's run, and we will go from there. So as we spoke about, the name of the game in the marathon prep is speed, and the goal of this run is speed. So we have our specific aerobic runs, or zone 2 easy pace, low heart rate runs, and then we have our fast paced, either at marathon pace or faster than marathon pace run. So today is the faster than marathon pace run, but I am actually deloading, like mini deload, for a half marathon at marathon pace on Sunday. So this is a prime example of what we would build up to, is that over time we have built the ability to run at marathon pace by starting with just a small increment at the pace, e.g. 1 kilometre with rest in between, and then we do that 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So we do 1 kilometre at race pace, 60 or 90 seconds rest, 2 minutes rest, and then we do that times 3, times 4, times 5, and then all of a sudden we do 2 kilometres at race pace with 3 minutes rest in between, and then we do that times 2, times 3, and then we do 3 kilometres at race pace, 4 kilometres, etc. So we do intervals at race pace just to enable you to get used to it. As I spoke about, we're training at what we would call like the awkward zone 4 place, where most people do all of their running where it feels really difficult and then they wonder why they can't progress. One is because there's no strategy, and 2 is because we're starting to train what we would call anaerobic, which is where obviously I spoke about we're training with no oxygen. So today is we're doing just 1 kilometre warm up with 1 kilometre at faster than race pace. So this is an opportunity for me to really push into that anaerobic, into that high zone 4 to zone 5, to get the most out of it as I possibly can, to train at that period of time for a short interval, which will enable me to essentially have the capacity to run faster than race pace. But we can't do all of our runs at this pace. So today is just the speed over the top, but it's quite a small one for me, just because obviously I have my race pace run on Sunday, which is a half marathon at 5:19 minutes per kilometre, which is marathon pace. I have actually run one fast, which I'll talk about on my Sunday video, but this is just a test trial for confidence. I've run a half marathon at 5:05, so should be okay. Should be okay. So today you'll notice a couple of things that are different. I'm not eating because I'm only going out for 8 kilometers, so it'll be done in about 40 minutes. I have got my hydration, I've got my electrolytes, and one thing you'll notice, I will wear music today because it's a fast-paced run. It means that I can really push myself with my music. One other thing you'll notice very differently about what I'm taking on this run are my shoes. So these are the Saucony Endorphin Speed Royal Pro. So the benefit of these is they got something called a carbon fibre footplate, and that sits in here. And what that does is it really allows you to pick up, have your response from the floor a lot better, so the impact is taken a lot better. And it just gives you the extra response and support. I don't know the full technicalities, but what I do know is it's incredibly supportive for speed sessions. It takes a lot more of the impact, and it almost feels like you're running on clouds a little bit. And these are the same as, I'm not sure if you've seen like Nike do a type of shoe called the Alpha Fly. They're actually the same. It's the same carbon fibre footplate, but these are actually £150 less. So I went for these this time, and I'm not disappointed. I actually prefer these to the Nike Alpha Flies. So these are my new favourite shoes, to be honest with you. So I absolutely love them. So I'll wear these on my speed sessions. And when I say speed sessions, it's those intervals. It's those 200 metres, 300 metres, 400 metres, 800 metres, 1 kilometre, 2 kilometres, half marathon at race pace, all of those runs where I'm really pushing speed. This will help and support me. Having a carbon footplate is not going to support you at slower speeds, so they normally suggest those faster intervals are going to be more beneficial. Obviously that's going to be relative for everybody, but when you're really starting to pick up those speed sessions and on race day, these are the perfect shoes because they're really going to support you. One bit of advice, guys, with a pair of shoes, always size up. So these are a size 7.5. I'm normally a 6 to a 6.5, but I've got, can you see how much gap I've got in my shoe? Can you see that? This is one of the most valuable things that you'll ever do. Can you see how much space I've got? Because when you run, your foot and your toes spread, your feet heat up, they get swollen, and you need to have this space. This is how I've not lost my toenails yet. It's because you've got this space here in between the shoe. So yeah, I'm a massive fan of these shoes right now. They are so comfortable, and can you see how much cushioning and support they've got? But I do not wear them for my easy aerobic runs because I don't need to. I don't need the impacts because obviously the stride is a lot shorter. So these socks different. Right, let's go. Let's go. Get this done. It's 5:57. I feel like it's going to be chilly, but I feel like it's not. So just 8K to go. Let's go. There we have it, team. Run done. So I did 8 kilometers and the average pace was 5:13 and average heart rate was 163 beats per minute. And I was wearing my watch on my heart rate monitor, so it probably wasn't quite as high. The watches always make it a bit higher than it is, but it doesn't matter either way. I don't wear my heart rate monitor on my interval run just because it's irrelevant for me because I'm working towards pace all of the time. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. When you're first starting your intervals and you're trying to get your heart rate up, it's great to make sure that you are monitoring your heart rate just to make sure you're getting into the right zone. But it's been 2 years now, so I know when it's in the right zone or not, and I know what paces and etc. I'm working towards. So yeah, pretty good run. Didn't go crazy, didn't run as fast as I normally would, just because we've got half marathon in on Sunday, so well, at race pace. So yes, all right, let's go and start work. What is the time? 7:01. So all done. done and dusted by 7 AM. Now I'm going to stretch, foam roll, start some work, and then try not to eat my breakfast too early.